What's going on, everybody? Fantastic hip hop back with a huge video today. We're going to be reviewing every major release in hip hop from the last 2 weeks. I'm going to be giving my in depth thoughts on new projects from Lil Uzi Vert, Rico Nasty, RZA, Domo Genesis, Wiz Khalifa, Lord Sko, and the Suicide Boys. Let's waste no time, and without further ado, we're going to get right into it. After teasing music for the last year, Lil Uzi is finally back with a new project in this 9-song, half an hour long Red and White EP. Now, I will say going into this project, there's been a false narrative going around that Uzi fell off, which I think more is a tribute to Playboi Carti's Whole Lotta Red than it is a diss to Eternal Take. So going into this record, I was really hoping Uzi would be able to give us some great songs for the summer, and when it comes to delivering on that expectation, I mean, he kinda does. I think Red and White has the same demise that Uzi's collab tape with Future, Pluto x Baby Pluto, did. From top to bottom, there's nothing here that I would call bad, but this project is just so bare bones compared to the experiences Uzi's given us in the past. Outside of a few cool voices and flows like on For Fun, Uzi plays majority of this project super safe, and while this makes for an enjoyable first listen, it does not offer any reason to come back or even remember what you've heard. Take the intro track Space Cadet. It features Uzi running through his typical bag of tricks as he raps over a sonically pleasing but just very forgettable spacey trap beat. Thought after the creative leaps and bounds Playboi Carti took on Whole Lotta Red, and even that Uzi did himself on a song like Heavy off this year's I Know Nego project, we would see him take some risks in this Calm Before the Storm, but it really just seems like these are the best songs that got cut from his upcoming major release, the Pink Tape. And I mean, if you got cut from a project like this, you're most likely just being released for money. There seems to be no actual integrity in this release. There seems to be no purpose of it outside of that. And this exact same sentiment applies to the Super Dull I Know, and this makes the third track on the project, Flex Up, feel like a nice refresher, as at least Uzi has some energy here. But even saying this, the entire cut just kind of feels like a knockoff version of 444 plus 222 off Love is Rage 2. Hitting My Shoulder continues to build the project up through Uzi's energy, and I do think it works in this instance. The instrumental is lively enough, and Uzi's vocal inflections sound like some of the most energetic and polished we've heard since the Eternal Take era. For Fun does a better job of mastering this atmospheric style that Uzi is just infatuated with, but this cut is really nothing too crazy, despite Uzi floating over this style of production much better than he did in the opening leg. It still leaves a lot to be desired from as a 3-minute experience. The track Cigarette is an honorable miscalculation, as the song's super intoxicating instrumental actually creates something special. The vocal coding that's almost muffling Uzi throughout the entire cut is intriguing, but it's just not enough to truly captivate the audience. As far as a track like It's a Hit and Glock in My Purse and Final Fantasy go, they're all just overly ambitious, and they're actually well structured musically, but Uzi just fumbles these moments with poor writing. Whether it's an awful hook, tone-deaf banter for his standards, or just repetition of lines and phrases that almost makes it seem like he's trying to be Carti, but it's not Carti enough, and it's definitely not Uzi enough, so I just don't know what to make of these moments. All in all, this project is just a big mess. Am I worried for the Pink Tape? Not really, but I just feel like this was a lazy attempt at hyping fans up for what could have been a special preluding EP. For all these reasons, I'm going to be giving Red and White a 4.1 out of 10. Next, we're going to be reviewing Rico Nasty's Las Ruinas, and ever since hearing her project Nasty in 2018, I've been a pretty big fan of Rico Nasty. Between her insane production and high energy, she's become one of the most unique artists in modern hip-hop, and she showed so much promise in her earlier records. While her 2020 album Nightmare Vacation was a big misstep in my opinion, it just missed the bar of what made Rico's past projects so special, Las Ruinas seems to be a nice step back onto the right path for her. As opposed to the sound of Nightmare Vacation, which seemed like it was just trying to appeal to a wider audience, Las Ruinas goes into a much darker direction, with beats being much grimier and much more demanding from a listening perspective. With this, the instrumentals are also masterfully layered, which allows for seamless transitions between tracks and powerful outros like the one seen on Black Punk. These are details that show just how much care Rico put into this record, as she matches every aspect of this LP to embody her best traits. The way she can switch between her demonic screams to her actual rapping voice, seen on a track like Messy, is just so seamless, it's so perfect. Speaking of the track Messy, it showcases Rico's ability to curate feature artists who will click with her, as we see Tizo Touchdown here, and he just does his thing. We also see Rico's singing ability, which sounds super polished on this cut, and nearly every other time she uses her singing voice, it sounds fantastic. Hearing the versatility in the way she approaches both each song and different sections within these tracks adds so much to the listening experience, as it truly feels like we are witnessing a fully fleshed out artistic vision. Despite the reckless subject matter remaining as a constant, the self destructive lifestyle depicted on Fucking Lady is conveyed through her subject matter that talks about partying and acting as crazy as she possibly can with no remorse. Gotta Get Paid was a definite standout on this project with its menacing instrumental and frightening feel from the scratchy vocals of Rico. The confidence and power she has in nearly each moment of this project shows just how comfortable she is with her skill set, and this allows her to keep going down the creative rabbit hole. The house anthem Jungle with Fred Again was certainly a weird buffer when it comes to the pacing of this record, but it was certainly interesting to see Rico adapt to this otherworldly atmosphere. While her part felt like an afterthought on the back end of the track, it was another glance at the high artistic ceiling she possesses. When it comes to the second half of this project, this is definitely where the record struggles and kind of falls flat on its feet. It's not all bad, but tracks like the super high-pitched Skull Flower and the attempt at a club record in Dance Scream sounds like something that better fits an H&M than any sort of party atmosphere or any sort of atmosphere Rico was actually going for. Fortunately, this entire second half is not a waste, as we get a powerful finish with the track Easy, an emotional ballad that focuses on Rico allowing a toxic lover to tear up her character. She talks about their inability to communicate and their inability to change, and ultimately how it made both Rico and the person she's writing this song about worse off than better off. It's just quite a powerful moment and one of the most personal songs we have ever seen from Rico. This closing leg continues to build with the song Into the Dark. It shows Rico going into this dark rabbit hole as she continues to self-reflect. Her rage starts to shine through as she continues to unravel memories about this particular person. Between her shattered vocals and the track's dramatic rock-infused instrumental, this song makes quite the moment. The final song, Chicken Nugget, completes this three-song emotional arc as Rico closes out the album on a little bit of a more hopeful note. She dedicates this track to her son Cameron, who she had at age 18 as a senior in high school. She talks about all the joy that her son brings her, and just hearing her talk about the little moments with her son that fills Rico's heart with joy, it was super sweet and super genuine. Looking at these final tracks, and I would certainly say that these cuts make for one of the strongest closing legs in hip-hop this year. All in all, Las Ruinas is a very impressive record that highlights the best of Rico Nasty's skills. We see just how far her limits are as she plays with a bunch of different musical atmospheres and she lets her signature crazed demeanor shine through. While all of these attempts are not as rewarding as the next, just seeing her play everything so risky after the failure of Nightmare Vacation was great. With all that said, what really takes this record to the next level is the versatility Rico shows, mainly when it comes to her pen game, as she really allows herself to go into some dark crevices here, and we see all of the pain, all of that joy unfold in front of her eyes. It was super captivating, and one of the most emotional displays from a rapper that we've seen all year. If this album was shorter, I would really be rating this much higher, but for all of the reasons I've said, I'm going to be giving Las Ruinas a 6.7 out of 10. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of upcoming New York rapper Lord Sko. At only 18 years old, the kid's been on a tear in the underground scene, and all of this hard work has led to the release of his debut album, Museum. Through 15 tracks that span over the course of 50 minutes, Sko puts on one of the best performances we have seen from a teenager in recent memory, as he shows that despite his age, he is an elite lyricist with an elite set of skills. From start to finish, this record has so much character. There's vocal skits from Biggie Smalls, Spike Lee, and an array of other notable names. Mainly handled by upcoming producer Arlo, each instrumental on this record feels like its own distinct universe with their unique sample choices, creative twists and turns, and a respect for New York hip-hop and the boom bap era as a whole. I mean, I say this 100% seriously, these beats are just as good as a lot of the stuff you'll hear Westside Gun rap over, and even the loops that we just heard on Joey Badass's 2000. When it comes to Sko, he is the glue to all of this, as his personality, braggadocious lyricism make this record such a joy to go through. The record is not here to serve as an autobiography of his life, but he drops so many key details that have defined him as a man to this point, and all of these traits come together in their own little picture throughout the LP. Where Sko's main selling point is his pure MC skills. From the surface, his deep voice is one of a kind, and it almost sounds like a modernized version of Jadakiss in a way. And in addition to this, his flow is silky smooth, and this allows for the words he's writing down to run from his mouth in ways that are so memorizing and addicting. Take a track like Quills or Easy. Sharp-edged flows he's able to show off tell us just how ready Sko is for the big stage, and he fully makes us believe that he can compete with the most elite MCs. The center of all of this is Sko's actual technical lyricism, which is nothing less than great. The trait that stands out the most from his lyrical arsenal is ability to craft witty punchlines that will stick in your head for hours, and this will always cap off some pretty great verses. The sheer hunger that he brings to songs like Jump Shot and 345 is wild. It's reminiscent of the energy Joey Badass showed on 1999. There's so many highlights in the track list, but none shine brighter than track 7, Russian Doll. The beat on this joint is just wild, and Sko's fast-paced, cut-your-throat flow is just full of life. It's impossible not to enjoy this. The song only gets better as it features a beat switch that slows the cut down in a place where it can build up lyrically in the second half. Another track that stood out was Carry the Torch, which features an atmospheric instrumental that serves as the backdrop to Lord Sko's pledge to keep New York hip-hop's roots alive. Speaking of songs that will send you to another universe, none do this better than 94 Coogie with Wise Boy Jeremy and Swank. All three MCs here just kick some pretty relaxed bars over a beat that feels like you're a million feet above the clouds. It's just this balance of creating great musical experiences and matching it with a performance and features from other highly skilled MCs that makes this record so special. Lord Sko does not just understand how to create fire raps, he understands how to curate a great experience, and his debut album shows that. For all of these reasons, I'm going to be giving Musuem a 8 out of 10. Congratulations, Lord Sko. Wiz Khalifa is back with his 7th album, Multiverse. This is Wiz's first studio album since 2018's Rolling Papers 2, and this project actually attempts to tackle some interesting ideas, such as his over decade-long career in the industry, just the concept of growing old and gaining wisdom. This project being 17 tracks and 59 minutes long, it's definitely on the lengthier side of things, and I do think this running time creates a lot of blob moments. The opening track, Big Daddy Wiz, sets things off on a little bit of a shaky note, with the track just coming together so awkwardly due to Wiz's auto-tune singing, which just sounds so bad and so uninspired. And if you thought that the rest of this record was going to be good, I got news for you, it's ass. To this project's demise and actually somewhat competent writing, Wiz sticks with this demeanor for a lot of the record, and it just takes me out of a lot of songs. Style is way too high energy for him, and with his already monotone voice, hearing him edit the shit out of his vocals to hit these high notes is just flat out bad. It sounds ridiculous. When the production aims to be more low-key, this style can be kinda successful, which we see on a track like Memory Lane, which Wiz actually sounds really good here as he uses this melodic side of the hook, and then he goes into a full rapping mode as he has verses that show off the wisdom he's gained. He actually talks about real shit. He talks like he's a mature person, but then what cements the album's downfall is the straight mediocrity of songs like 100 Woman, High Maintenance. These songs are just so bad. They're thoughtless. They say nothing and they don't sound good. It's frustrating because there is a lot of strong points in this album's framework. Wiz Khalifa showcases a lot of his maturity as a person within this writing, but between these full circle moments being sprinkled around his usual slew of tricks and this project just failing so hard musically with its desire to be melodically inclined, this record just ends up being one of the most forgettable albums in Wiz's entire catalog. The only bona fide highlight on this LP is Homies, which is an anthem about the loss and pain Wiz has endured due to the loss of his own friends and people he grew up around, and the storytelling here is vivid and you can really feel Wiz's pain. And in all honesty, this is a great song and a really powerful moment that I wish there was more of. Beyond this, I really got nothing left to say about this record, and for all of its missteps, I'm going to be giving Multiverse a 3.1 out of 10. In 2022, Wu-Tang Clan leader and musical mastermind RZA seems to be having a little bit of a comeback year as a solo artist. Earlier this year, he released his Saturday Afternoon Kung Fu Theater project with DJ Scratch, and just months later, he is back with an 8-song project that spans 30 minutes under both his main persona and his alter ego Bobby Digital. From the intro, Under the Sun, to the outro, Live Your Own Rhythm, this project is musically beautiful, but a messy showing of what RZA can do almost 30 years into his career. RZA's vocals here are so raw, and while his lyrical performance is just as okay as usual, his beat making is so cutting edge and well arranged. From the chords to the samples, everything RZA does behind the boards is handled so well, and this allows for you to just appreciate the gift of music as you go through this record. It's definitely the best part of this experience. Even this late into his career, it amazes me how inspired RZA sounds as his presence is just so commanding and full of life. With that said, his presence on tracks feels like an afterthought, with a cut like Troubleshootin' containing a single verse from RZA, and it's surrounded between multiple hooks and bridges and just unnecessary vocals from the guest artist shot. Even the track Something Going On with Stone Mecca, RZA does not come into the track until after a minute in, and this just creates an unneeded suspense that derails the entire record more than it rewards it. RZA makes the featured guest sound like it's more their song than it's his, which is just weird. The song Cowards barely contains any vocals from RZA, and it really just feels like a catchy track done by Shot and Moon Diggs that has no reason to be on a RZA project. It should be in like a friggin' ice cream commercial. I don't know. As a singular track, I mean, this song is pretty good, but it just makes RZA an afterthought, which is clearly not the goal of this project if there's not one but two RZA egos listed as the creators of this record. While this flaw makes nearly all of the tracks with featured guests feel like a little bit of a mess, the solo tracks RZA does here are a lot better, and they embody everything that the Wu-Tang leader stands for. The song We Push is such a powerful moment between its dramatic instrumental and RZA's performance, which digs into the false realities we gleam upon with our own eyes each day. The emotional fight to win is another fantastic moment that sticks out with its spacey synth and RZA's self-inflicted writing, which showcases the torment he faces due to all that his life has brought him. All in all, it's moments like these that make Bobby Digital and the Pit of Snakes worth listening to. RZA shows that he is still a super skilled artist, as his production ability is so refined and well adapted to the modern musical climate, and his rapping skills, which have never been his focus, are still fairly entertaining. Where this project falls flat is in RZA's trouble to gear this record in a way that it works as a complete experience. Many of the moments feel disjointed. Where this project falls flat is in RZA's trouble to gear this project in a way where it works as a complete experience. Many of the moments feel disjointed due to poor pacing, and while it's okay to take a back roll when you're on with Method Man and Ghostface Killah, this approach on your own work hurts the integrity of what RZA and his alter ego can do together. Overall, this project is still solid, it's just flawed for these reasons, so I'm going to be giving Bobby Digital and the Pit of Snakes a 5.8 out of 10. Odd Future member Domo Genesis has done something really special with his new album, Intros, Outros, and Interludes. Produced by the magnificent Evidence, Domo has created 11 of his most personal and mature tracks to date, and the product of his vulnerability is his magnum opus. The record serves as a loose collection of Domo's most emotional thoughts, and this LP feels like a 26-minute long therapy session due to its pacing, which allows for these songs to flow seamlessly, and the production which just makes one story distinct from the next. Hearing Domo rap about various struggles he's faced and to hear how he's coping in his life now is pretty inspiring and comforting in a lot of ways. Now, this isn't a record that's here to make you cry or have some sort of emotional reawakening, but the real and honest depiction of oneself that Domo highlights to us is an important reminder that we all struggle no matter how perfect our lives may seem. The instrumental loops on this album just work so well, as their minimalistic and intimate approach allows them to be the perfect backdrop to Domo's thoughts. Trust the Process best highlights this record's magic. Over a simple but beautiful soul sample instrumental, Domo talks about believing in the journey, and despite the path definitely getting rocky on the way, you will find what you were searching for with determination. Lyrically, Domo presents these stories of self-growth with bars that use his entire life's knowledge to get their point across. Even the features from guests like Boldy James and Navy Blue enhance these ideas as they continue to empower themselves through their past. All in all, the personality and ideas centered around self-growth that Domo covers, as Evidence delivers one of the best scores of the year, makes Intros, Outros, and Interludes one of the best albums that have dropped in 2022. For all these reasons, I'm going to be giving this one an 8.1 out of 10. Alright, I'm not going to say the full name because I don't know if YouTube is going to ban me, but at this point, the S-Boys are a duo I expect to always entertain me, and their third studio album and 47th project in total, Sing Me a Lullaby, My Sweet Temptation, delivers another experience that continues to showcase the duo's consistency. Now, the duo is not doing anything totally different here, they're just continuing to master their one-of-a-kind sound. The production on this entire album is so good, from the sample choices which go as abstract as to sample Super Mario World to the psychedelic atmospheres each instrumental contains. Scrim and Ruby DeCherry are more entertaining than ever on this record. Every song is so well detailed with samples that call back to their stylistic influences, and this makes for a soundscape that is one of the better we've heard all year. the production pushes their boundaries forward. They have moments that are quite climactic here, and this is due to the ability of Scrim's production, as he's able to layer these instrumentals and have them work as the tone setter at every corner. While I love the production on this record, I don't think it's a perfect project by any means. As usual with this duo, their vocals just fall flat for me a lot of the time, and this just makes this project never fully resonate with me. And this has been a problem I've had for a long time with their records. I think this is something I'll really never get over at this point, and I think this is something they're never going to change, as this is embedded in their signature style. All in all, this does not ruin the album by any means, and this record just shows that the S-Boys have proved just how special they are again. This record is fantastic, and while vocally, Scrim and Ruby to Cherry can steer this thing off in too many directions for my liking, the production is great, and no matter what pocket they are in, the energy that echoes throughout all of these tracks makes this duo continue to stick out as a group that is just one of a kind. For all these reasons, I'm going to be giving this album a 6.1 out of 10. And there you have it. Here are all of the major reviews in hip hop from the last 2 weeks, besides Joey Badass's 2000, which I made a separate video on. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's recommended. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. This video took a ton of work, so I'd really appreciate the support. And subscribe because we got a lot more coming on the way. Fantastic hip hop. Signing out. Have a great day.